The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Alex Nylander has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. And I say that because Alex Nylander signed a one-year AHL deal with the Toronto Marlies. And while Steve Dangle says that he is too good to make an Alex Nylander video, here I am, not as good of a man as he is, talking about a signing that I think is a lot of fun. It's a very high upside signing, a signing that could have a lot of high upside in a really zero risk situation, because the Maple Leafs did get Alex Nylander on an AHL deal. And that means that he's going to get an invite to training camp to hopefully earn a spot with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the contract that they've signed doesn't add to their 50 contract limit. It doesn't count against the cap. He is a Toronto Marlie in every sense of the word right now. And Alex Nylander, I was shocked, reached this far into free agency, because the number that everybody's throwing out there as they talk about Nylander and the prospects of his signing somewhere, and now that he's with the Marlies, him potentially being decent, is the 11 goals in 23 games he scored with Columbus at the end of last season. That's a 40-goal pace if you spread it out across the rest of a season. So the potential is there. He has shown at the NHL level he can be a goal scorer. He has shown it as recently as the final 23 games of last season. And that's why I was pretty surprised that Columbus didn't decide to qualify him. They decided to not qualify him and let him go to free agency, and here we are. And before that, Nylander was with the Penguins, and he didn't play with the Penguins a whole bunch. He played with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, the AHL team of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there he scored at the AHL level, but he's never been able to find his footing at the NHL level ever since he's been drafted 8th overall in 2016. And what we have here is another opportunity for Nylander to hopefully make an NHL roster. And in Toronto, the reason that this is a fun signing with a whole ton of upside throughout the entire version of this Leafs team, the Core 4 era, they've always needed depth along the wings. We've said it time and time again, and we will continue to say it, because they've put so much money into their high-end individuals on this team. One of them is his brother. They haven't been able to find depth pieces along the wing that can stick around and score goals and work out with this core. So Alex Nylander has an opportunity in an organization that's looking for top six, middle six, and bottom six winger depth. And Nylander, if he can prove to be that great goal scorer that he was in Columbus, could have a place on the Toronto Maple Leafs on their NHL roster. It's an all upside, no risk, because if he doesn't find his footing at the NHL level, he can just be a great Marlie. And Alex Nylander has proven that he's really good for the AHL, and the Marlies need some scoring this year. As Kyle Cushman points out on Twitter, they lost Kiefer Bellows, who was kind of their high-end scorer last year, and Nylander will replace that at the Marlies level. And another note from Cushman that I want to shout out here, because it was an important distinction about this contract. Kyle Cushman writes, just a reminder, because it was a thing with Josh Hosang and the Marlies, entry waivers are only for players signing NHL contracts in season after playing in Europe. If the Leafs wanted to sign Alex Nylander mid-season, he'd only need to clear waivers to be assigned to the AHL. So if there are injuries with the Leafs big club, or if he just earns a spot coming out of training camp or just playing too well with the Marlies, the Leafs can just simply sign Alex Nylander to an NHL level contract, which will take one of their 50 contract spots. But that'd be a good problem at the time, and then move him to the NHL level. There's no waivers he will need to clear. And one thing I haven't said throughout this whole thing is that it would just be cool if one day, this season hopefully, that we get a Nylander, centerman, Nylander line. It would just be wicked for fans and them themselves, their family, the Nylander family, and the organization if they can trot him out there and we have the double Nylander brother line, and hopefully they're really good together, because this team needs positivity going into this season. It's been so many years of failures and defeats, and people are so down on a lot of the stars on this team. Nylander's not really one of them that takes a lot of the heat at this point anymore. He used to be the one who took the most heat out of all of them, and now that's kind of shifted to someone else who shall not be named right now, because we are having fun with the Nylander signing. So It would just be so cool as a fan of William Nylander and a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs to see them both on a line together at some point this season. I think the PR that would come out of that would be fantastic. The fans in the building, hopefully it happens like on a home game or whatever they play together at home. The fans in the building would go crazy for it. I would be ecstatic watching it at home. It would be such a cool moment. And I'm saying this needs to happen if Nylander earns the spot. You don't do it if he doesn't earn it, but if he earns a trip to the NHL level and he earns that contract, to see these guys who clearly come from such a close family and they're always training together in the offseason, as we saw this offseason, they've been hanging out a lot. We see on their Instagrams. It would just be awesome to see them together on the Toronto Maple Leafs, on a line, maybe, who knows, playing, and maybe we get that Nylander to Nylander goal and assist. I love this signing. Big fan. No risk to the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. High upside, potential depth forward for the Toronto Maple Leafs that they desperately need. Great signing for me. Thumbs up. Let me know what you think about the signing in the comments below. And thank you for watching this. You could have been doing anything, but you chose to be watching or listening to this right now, and I really appreciate you for that. Hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report channel. I appreciate every subscription. Thank you for being here. Good night from Toronto.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.